That's right, baby. That's right, baby. You see that right there? That's right. Super Bowl 57. That's right, baby. Super Bowl 57. Eagles going back to it. Second time in 5 years. Oh, it's been a long road for the Eagles. I've been following this road since the start. I was talking about I was coming on here during the summer, during the regular season, talk about all the different moves going on. And now, here it is. It's happened. It's all paid off with the Eagles going to their fourth Super Bowl in franchise history, second time in 5 years, first time in NFL history a team has gone to the Super Bowl 2 times in 5 years with different coaches. So that's a first right there. But yeah, once again, back on top. As we start to get closer to the season, it's been a long road, so I'm going to take some time to reflect on the Eagles' journey here and also toast the Eagles getting there. But let's start with a toast. That's right. See the logo? That is right, baby. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right, baby. Oh, yeah. You know what? All see. And there's one thing we learned from Sunday's game. I'm going to show it to you from a short video I dropped. Here's a lesson to some of y'all out there. Now let that be a lesson to you fans of opposing teams coming to Philly to cheer on your team. Don't mess with the Rocky statue. That's right. And matter of fact, here is the link to that right there, so you guys can check it out yourself. You can see it. It'll look better on your screen if you check it out from there. But you get the point, don't you? Yep, so many y'all opposing fans want to come to Philly and mess with that statue. Vikings fans did it in January 2018. They learned the hard way. Well, they had to go back to Minnesota and watch the Eagles win the Super Bowl in their home stadium. And just while we're still on that, you also had to watch the Buccaneers be the first team to play a Super Bowl in their home stadium 2 years ago. And then you had to watch the Rams do it again the following year. Well, you were on the outside looking in. So that made it even worse for y'all. And then the Giants fans, you tried to do it last 2 weeks ago. Divisional round, you tried to do it there. But guess what? Y'all got blown out by the same score the Vikings did. And then the 49ers fans, y'all felt more confident doing it because y'all had a better team, which you did have a better team going into it. So you felt more confident coming to the Rocky statue trying to do that. But guess what? It didn't work out for y'all either. It didn't. Y'all have to go back to San Francisco and watch the Eagles play a Super Bowl in one of your division rival stadiums, right? You have the opportunity to watch a division rival win a Super Bowl at Arizona, which wouldn't be the first time you've had to do that. But that just pours more salt in the wound for you Niners fans that wanted to disrespect the Eagles logo. But you know what? It's all cool because the Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl. That's what matters. That's right. That is the only thing that matters. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. That's right. Long road. It was a long road there. Take some time. This would be the perfect time to just sit back, take some time to reflect on the Eagles road to Super Bowl 57. So it all really started. The momentum really started to come together draft night 2022. We traded with the Titans. We traded our, what was it, the 22nd pick, was it? We traded it to the Titans. And you know what we got in return? A.J. Brown. Who needed to go draft a big name wide receiver in the draft? We didn't need to do that because we traded for a young big name wide receiver who was having contract disputes with the Titans. And being that we had some cap room, we had the leverage to make that trade, give him the money that he wanted, and make him part of our roster. You don't see that all the time, but being cheap with the cap throughout the previous years helped set this moment up. And that was the start of the turnaround. Then on top of it, signing James Bradbury in May. Then we get closer to the season. Then we add another piece to it. We added C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Saints, another young star player, this time the defensive side of the ball. So we were getting pieces, but we were getting them while they're still young. I mean, this wasn't like some of those other teams that are trying to go and get all these veterans in that are past their peak and it don't work out, like switching sports like the Los Angeles Lakers. It's not like that. No, in this case, we got some of these pieces while they're young. So there's something could still be here for years to come. And so that was the start right there. And I remember going into the season, I was saying, look, we got a ton of hype going into this, but got to actually make it happen now. Time for talking's over. Now's the time to execute. And you know what? Not only did the Eagles execute, they went on to get home field advantage in the playoffs, okay? So, yeah, they executed there. They won the NFC East. And what this year was a loaded division. That's certainly executing on the hype right there. To some degree. Oh, but that wasn't enough right there. No. We had to go on to destroy the Giants at home. And our home playoff game was the number 1 seed, 38-7. And then we come back. Conference championship game. Couldn't have it any other way. 2 best teams in the NFC. We embarrassed the 49ers. I mean, yeah, obviously injuries had something to do with it, but let's face it, if the roles were reversed, we lost Hurts. We lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson during the game, and the Niners blew us out. Their fans would have been celebrating too, so. But guess what? We went in there and we took care of business. Second half, y'all had no answers for us. Okay, and you don't have any excuses, do you? You didn't have any answers for us on that opening drive, did you? You didn't have any answers on defense. And guess what? We took care of business. We beat you. Yep, that is right. They did get beat. And now because the Niners got beat, Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl again. So certainly the point being is we did live up to the hype. I said that this team's got to do more than just hype going into the season. And we certainly lived up to it. We made it to the Super Bowl. So we've certainly lived up to the hype. Regardless of the outcome, we've lived up to the hype in the regard of the facts that we were the best team in the NFC, period. Now, as far as the game itself goes, I'll be back with another stream in the coming days, possibly or sometime next week, where I'll discuss that more in depth. But the point is here, this is about saluting the Eagles for making it this far, for making it to the Super Bowl. So we lived up to the hype. Now, let's talk about some of the guys on this team now, shall we? It was all going into the season about one person, Jalen Hurts. We upgraded at wide receiver this year. No more Jalen Reagor. No more J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. None of those guys. Now you have A.J. Brown, a second-year Devontae Smith, who showed a nice outing his rookie year. That means there was the potential going into the season for Smitty to work on his receiving game. And you had Dallas Goedert too, so you had weapons. You didn't have excuses this time around like you had in 2021. Because that year there was a little bit of the benefit of the doubt of he didn't have good weapons, but this year he had those weapons, so there was no excuses. And guess what happened? Jalen Hurts went in there. Yes, he does, but hey, that's why he doesn't get paid to sing. That's why he gets paid to throw the football around. Yep, but guess what? He stepped up, though. He exceeded expectations. All right? Yeah, you know what? He was out there throwing the ball around like an MVP. His passing mechanics improved from last year. He was a credible dual threat quarterback. He was starting to live up to his potential of being that guy. And he did that. You could see throughout the season, as the weeks went along, he was showing improvement. The first time we really saw it was week 2 in that Vikings game. He had some nice throws there, and you're realizing this guy can throw the ball. You realize there were some promise there, and it just continued to show throughout the season. It continued to show. Now, there were a few games that were a bit shaky, like the Colts game. And it's the Bears game. Well, also he did get injured in that game, but okay, there were some bumps along the way, but there's always going to be for every team. So that's nothing to hold against the guy. The guy just continued to ball out and ball out. And even despite that, some people did not want to give Jalen Hurts his credit due, particularly the son of a former New York Giants quarterback. And yes, I'm calling him the son of a former New York Giants quarterback because he doesn't deserve credit for his career because his career was a joke. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Chris Sims. Yeah, call him Baby Sims. Baby Sims had takes just as bad as his playing career, almost as bad as Michael Jordan's run as executive as the Charlotte Hornets, particularly about Jalen Hurts. The one take was that, oh, he's a system QB. Well, clearly as the year went along, that was proven wrong. He's not a system QB at all. He is that face of the franchise guy. All right, he is getting props from guys like Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb. Okay, you remember that photo of the three of them that was featured going on to that Monday Night Countdown? So he's getting props from some other QBs with similar playing styles. And you know what? But Jalen Hurts, just an excellent season. And he's certainly the Eagles team MVP, and he's a front-runner candidate for the NFL MVP award. Now, will they give it to him? That remains to be determined because, sometimes voters are with that. We'll see what they decide ultimately. But as far as I'm concerned, give this man the MVP crown because he's the reason this team went as far as they did. And don't give me that system guy because if it was really a system thing, how come those 2 games Gardner Minshew had to step in? He didn't fare as well, particularly the Saints game. Because, if Jalen Hurts was just a system guy, Minshew would have fared better, right? But that wasn't the case. Point being is, you can take that Jalen Hurts as a system guy narrative and throw it in the trash where it belongs. But you know what? Jalen Hurts, that guy. A.J. Brown, he continued right where he left off in Tennessee. New scenery, new team, better QB. He just balled out all season. A.J. Brown, over 1,000 yards receiving. Had some amazing catches right there. Devontae Smith, was he going to take that next step? That was the question going into the season. He had a solid rookie year, but what was he going to follow up on that going into 2022? The answer is yes, even as the number 2 option in the passing game. Because guess what? He still had over 1,000 yards receiving. So that's your number 1 and number 2 receiver. Both had 1,000+ yards receiving. And we haven't even gotten into the running back part yet. So we'll get to that. But yes, Devontae Smith, breakout year for sure. Dallas Goedert, you know what? Good option in the tight end game. Yeah, he did miss some time due to injury, but guess what? He came back. He didn't miss a beat when he came back. Nice one-handed catch in that Giants game. Now, Dallas Goedert, he may not be as spectacular as some of the other guys on here, but when he gets the looks his way, he does what he needs to do Goes to show that time Goddard spent under the learning tool of Zach Ertz. It's paid off now, isn't it? With him as the number one option at tight end. So it worked out perfectly. And now let's get to the running back, shall we? Miles Sanders, 1,000+ yard season. Now, here's the thing with Miles Sanders. In part, it had to do with the fact he had a great O-line, yes. But you know what? He's still a talented back, even though he has his flaws, particularly with holding on to the ball. But hey, he's still a talented back, and he showed it there. Still better than some of these other running backs would have done under that O-line. So he deserves some props for that season too. He earned that Pro Bowl nod. So shout out to him too. Boston Scott, hey, he's a good backup running back. He's always been that way, and it showed again this year. So, hey, you still need a number 2 running back that can at least produce. Is he the best back? No, of course not. But Boston Scott's still a reliable number 2 option at running back. Kenneth Gainwell, he can still get in the mix too. That's good when you get 3 running backs that are either productive or better. That's good right there. And the O-line, just phenomenal performance from the O-line. Clear 180 from where we were 2-3 years ago in 2020, 2019-ish, particularly 2020. Clear progress here from this O-line. Jason Kelsey healthy, Lane Johnson healthy, Landon Dickerson, he was doing good. Jordan Mailata, these guys, awesome job right there by the O-line, and they deserve credit too because they helped out too. Because it does help when you, at least if you're a running back and you have an offensive line that can block, help you get through the holes quicker. It's better when you're a QB that has an O-line that can block, can give you a little bit of time to get your feet set to throw the ball. So those guys deserve credit for it too. But it was just all-around great effort by the offense to get us to this point right here through the entire season, regular season and the playoffs. Now here we are in the Super Bowl. Now let's get to the defense. Just absolute domination. Yes, in an offensive-friendly era where, PIs and roughing the passers are more common, unnecessary roughness calls are more common. Even in that era, yes, the defense was still holding its own, still shutting teams down, even in this era. Franchise high, most sacks by a defense in a single season for the Eagles. This is the best defense since the Buddy Ryan-led defense, which I'm not going to get into Buddy Ryan because, he had a great defense, but as a coach, that's a whole nother subject for another time. Maybe if I do a Throwback Thursday, maybe I could talk about that, but the point is, this is the best defense in years. Going back to like Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner. This dual unit right here with guys like Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham coming back, who should have been a runner-up for Comeback Player of the Year. It should be Comeback Player of the Year should be based on performance, based off, coming back from an injury, how you did coming back, not most improved player, but unfortunately the NFL is conflating the two. So he was snubbed. So you got the linebacking core, TJ Edwards, Kazir White, Hassan Reddick, career year for him, balled out. I was high on him from when he was first brought in back in March. At the time I said, okay, good move. What are you going to do to follow it up? So I was always high on that, and it showed as good as expected. Darius Slay, another awesome year for him. James Bradbury, he showed up. Matter of fact, I even dubbed having Bradbury and Slayberry Island. And then, of course, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, just the best Eagles defense in years. They just got it right. Jonathan Gannon, not the biggest fan of him. He's done better this year. But you know what? He has done better, so we get some props there. Just all around, great team effort to get them where they're at. Can't help but give these guys props. That's right, man. So once again, one more toast to this team. To all the guys that made the Pro Bowl. All the players and coaches that made this happen. That's right. That's right. All season long. You know what the Eagles did? Just win, 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 win. Just win, 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 win. All season long, baby. That's all we did. We just keep winning and keep our foot on the gas pedal all year long. All right. 14-win regular season. Franchise best. Most sacks set by a franchise. Most rushing yards by a quarterback. Just absolute all around. There's so many great things I can say about this team. Just so many. I can just go on and on and on and on and on about it. But you know what? It was a great effort. We at least deserve to acknowledge the fact that they made it this far. It was awesome. It exceeded expectations. You know what? There were so many. It's great because there were so many people that kept doubting us. So many people that didn't want to give the Eagles credit where credit was due. Chris Sims, the joke Sims. You had, even Max Kellerman. He had his list for tier of QBs going into the season, or going in the playoffs, excuse me. He didn't have Jalen Hurts on any of those three tiers. Joke. Embarrassing. Also, you had, what else did you have? What was it? Oh, yeah, you had that one list of top 10 QB. They didn't have Hurts on the list. The excuse for it was, Hurts is not because he missed a few games due to injury. Meanwhile, Dak missed more time and you had him on the list, which was a joke right there. So you know what? These guys could talk all the smack they wanted to, but didn't matter. The Eagles still made it to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl bound. There's an opportunity for the Eagles to win their second Super Bowl. We could be in the early stages of what Michael Irvin had once said could potentially be a Philadelphia dynasty. Yes, during the summer. Remember Michael Irvin kind of gave that prediction that we could be closing in on seeing a Philadelphia dynasty. And you know what? We could be. This could be the first step in that. Ring number 2 could be the first step. Then that could be 3 and 4, maybe 5. It's possible. This could be the first step toward that right here. This could be a brand new day in the sports world, having a Philadelphia dynasty on top. Forget about all your New York dynasties, like the New York Yankees in baseball. Forget about your Chicago dynasty with the Chicago Bulls, the NBA in the 90s, your Bay Area dynasty with the Golden State Warriors in the NBA recently, your Dallas dynasty with the Cowboys in the 90s, your Boston dynasty with the Patriots, so on and so forth. Could be time for a Philadelphia dynasty in the football world. We hoping it happens, but we will tell with time. But for now, it's time to take some time to appreciate the fact the Eagles have made it to the Super Bowl. Now, this isn't the final destination, but it's a nice start and at least deserves acknowledgement. So I'll leave it at that with this one. So to everyone that tuned in, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. Matter of fact, I'll be back at 4 to recap the NFC Championship game between the Eagles and the Niners. So you can tune into that one right there. And until next time, Nicky Stees signing off. Fly, Eagles, fly. And I'll see you next time.